Welcome to the Knowledge for Men show. Your life will never be the same.
Your level of success will seldom exceed your level of personal development.
I want to die empty of regret. I want to die empty of my best work. We don't understand who we are. Instead, we're living out somebody else's narrative.
What one man can do, another man can do. If it's been done, it can be done again.
Being yourself and being your truest, most authentic self in every moment. If it scares you or makes you a little afraid, do it. Follow your heart and your gut.
The first stage, I think, is finding you, like finding out who I am today.
Stuff will not work. You will have things that fail. Success is when you're a happy, fulfilled person. How do you define success?
It's your life, and you are the creator of the movie script that is your life story.
Attention, if you are a frustrated man who feels like he is not getting the results he wants in his life, health, wealth, relationships, and personal growth, then I've got a powerful free video training for you to help you become a strong, grounded man so you can unlock unlimited power in your life, business, and relationships. Go to kfmconfidence.com to get instant access to this training. Again, that's kfmconfidence.com. If you want a Cliff Notes version of the best material that I've learned after 300 interviews on this podcast about being a stronger, more powerful man, then it's all here at kfmconfidence.com. All right, guys, welcome to the show here. I'm here with Josh Verne. He's an entrepreneur with over 20 years experience with starting, growing, and leading businesses. He's currently the CEO of Flock U, and that's Flock U. All right, just everyone's like, what? Pulling over on the side of the road here. No, Josh, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Andrew. Thank you for having me. Really appreciate it.
Awesome. And we start off every show, Josh, with a favorite success quote or some sort of saying that you've lived by that's helped you on your journey. What do you got for us, and what does that mean to you?
Vision is the art of seeing what is invisible to others. Vision is the art of seeing what is invisible to others.
What does that mean to you? How has that helped you?
You know, I've always enjoyed my whole life being the underdog. And, you know, part of being an underdog is truly questioning your path and your journey and, you know, are you doing the right thing? And I've always lived by this quote by the author Jonathan Swift, because to me, it always kept me motivated. It always said, listen, if other people aren't seeing what I'm seeing, then there's a reason why I'm seeing it. And that's really helped me get through all my, whether it's been issues that I've had in business, whether it's been success I've had in business, I always go back to that quote and it helps continue to drive me.
So when you're an underdog, it's like the odds in some cases are stacked up against you. Most people see it this way. However, you see it this way, but the general, the majority of the people see it, the opposite way. So how do you keep going towards something when other people are telling you, the masses are telling you, likely to fail?
You know, I think you have to understand who the masses are, right? And the one thing I learned at an early age, that if you take holistic advice from somebody and you run too far with it, that can be very dangerous because they're not in your body. They don't know what motivates you, and they don't truly know what's going on in your mind. If you don't take advice or feedback from people around you, then you're in a bubble and you're in a vacuum, and you say to yourself, what am I truly learning here? Because then you're going to really learn the hard way by not giving other things opportunity. I think the biggest thing that I've done through my whole life is I take a little bit from this person, I take a little bit from this person, I take a little bit of what I truly feel, and I really put it together in order to create a path for myself. And that's why I try to never listen to the naysayers. I try to listen to things that are brilliant being told to me. And I'm only the one that can really determine what's brilliant or not. Obviously, I don't fault people for feeling the way they do. But for me, it's if I can learn a little something from this person, a little something from that person, put it together with what I know or what I believe that's a recipe for me to really succeed.
Yeah, I agree. When do you come to a point where you quit? Such as that, like Albert Einstein says, doing the same thing repeatedly over and over again is the definition of insanity. And if you're trying something, you're working on something, you're putting years and resources, time away from the family, the friends, and it's not working, do you keep going? Are you one that just keeps going and no, it will work? Or do you throw in the towel?
No, I don't believe in throwing in the towel. I believe, I come with a lot of flaws. I come with a lot of weaknesses like most individuals. The one thing that I have a lot of strength in is the ability to pivot. By being really ingrained, I try never to rely on other people to do the figuring out for me. Obviously, I welcome ideas, and I like to surround myself with a lot smarter people than me. But if I'm in the ground and I'm really figuring out and understanding what's going on, and if something's not working, I would never rely on somebody else and for me to say that, hey, go figure it out. That's my job, to figure out how we have to pivot and how we have to move. So if there's been some successes I've had, it's been the ability to be able to pivot quickly and not wait to that last minute. Sometimes I've been accused of pivoting a little too fast, but I also have to go with where my heart goes. And if something's telling me that it's not working, it's not that the idea is not working, but it's that the path going toward it may not be working. And I have to learn how to be able to pivot to be able to make it work.
So it's not quitting, it's pivoting.
You got it.
Quitting is, okay, I'm done. I'm gonna go get a job, or you're gonna do something else here. Pivoting is, you're still in the game. You're just taking another route to get there.
You got it. Yeah, I'm in the game. Something's not working, so I got to figure out how to make it work.
Do you ever feel like it's like you are the biggest variable to the success of the mission that you are trying to accomplish?
I think it's a good question. I wouldn't say it that way. I would say it that I could be the biggest hindrance to success.
What do you mean by that? I think that's a big point for a lot of us here.
Yeah, I think, as an entrepreneur, a lot of times you think that your way is the right way. And a lot of entrepreneurs may not be listening to the people around them. I think I always said, anybody that has ever asked me, what is my biggest challenge, or who's my biggest competitor, whatever industry I've been in, I've always said the biggest competitor is me, because I try not to look at the successes or the failures of other people. I try to keep them in the background and understand what they're doing, but I try to really look at what the success or failures of what I'm doing are. And I think the way to keep me focused that way is by continuing to listen to the people around me. But if I don't listen to the people around me and I get extremely headstrong, that's generally the time that I start to stumble. And that's generally the time, because not only I'm not listening to the proper advice around me, but I'm also not bringing the team along with me. I've always tried to look at myself as a leader, as opposed to a boss, and someone that I can lead instead of just always giving direction.
So you're really competing against yourself. Where were you 6 months ago? That's who you're going against.
That's exactly right. And if I'm not learning and if I'm not educating myself on a consistent basis, then I think I'm not succeeding.
What happens when you start comparing yourself to these other guys publishing the New York Times bestselling books? They were the guy who sold his company, the Dollar Shave Club, for $1 billion after a couple years. What happens to you when you start comparing yourself to some of these other people?
I don't think anything. I try not to. Everybody's on their own journey. There's been people that have sold their business very quickly, like he has, and there's been people that have been doing this thing 20, 30, 40 years that haven't found that success. So I think it's just trying to create my own journey, trying to create my own venture of trying to figure out what works for me and the team around me. I've always tried to put my team right on the same level as myself. So if I'm going to have success, I want them to have success as well. If I'm going to see failure, then I got to figure out a way to where they don't fall as hard as I do. And that's one thing that I've really keened in on over my 3 different careers that I've had in my life, as far as just trying to take the right team with me. And, I want them to have the success with me. But at the end of the day, if I'm not succeeding, I may be looking at them for a portion of it that they shouldn't be falling as hard as I am. So, I think everybody's journey is different.
Yeah. You mentioned earlier that you want to be more of a leader, not a boss. Can you dive into that? Because I think that would shed some light on what it really takes to lead your company into a successful place. Or even if you're in, middle management or a corporate executive, I think the difference between boss and leader is really important here.
Yeah. I can't speak to the textbook differences, but I can only speak to real life. And when I was 19 years old, I'll never forget my assistant, who's still with me, still to this day after 21 years. She couldn't figure something out, and she was asking me my advice. And I basically said to her, just figure it out. That's exactly what I said to her. And she came to me afterwards and she said, listen, I figured it out, but I really would have appreciated if you would have given me some help there. And as soon as I heard that, I said to myself, wait a second, we're working as a team here. If I'm relying on her to figure out things that she's coming to me, then I'm not being the best that I can be by not only growing that individual, but also growing myself. So I think being of a leader is being able to, number one, back up what you're preaching. That's A. B, making someone part of a team, not part of an underling where you're always giving them direction without welcoming that collaboration back. But more importantly, making people feel as part of the family. Again, I can't relate to the textbook differences, but I could tell you from one-on-one interaction, I've had thousands and thousands of employees in my career. And I will tell you the big difference that I've had that I think has gotten me to a certain place was that I've truly looked at every employee, not as someone I just pay a paycheck to. I've never gone at them and said, listen, I pay you, go figure it out. I look at them as a support mechanism to me so I can succeed. And if I'm succeeding, they're succeeding.
I like that. And yeah, I don't care about the textbook. I care about your experiences. You just mentioned that you've worked with thousands of employees. I'm interested now in how do you keep top talent? When you got an A player on board, how do you keep that guy from getting, taking another sexy offer or from, leaving? How do you keep top talent?
It's a good question. I will tell. Let me start by answering the things I don't look for. And the things I don't look for is I'll never negotiate somebody's pay. That's just something that I just don't believe in. If somebody feels that pay is the only answer to them, I don't fault them for that because that's their life. And, I don't get inside their family life. But if it's only a pay situation, I let people walk. And I do that on purpose because if the mission of the journey is just about getting paid, then I'm not interested. I will tell you the way that to truly keep my experience of keeping top talent has always been making them just part of the team. And I know I keep referring back to that is just making them part of the solution and part of the answers as opposed to me trying to make every decision by myself. And, when you feel it's no different than family, right? Is you don't pay your family members, but if someone in your family, you treat them as a true family member, they're going to be part of your family. If it's somebody that you treat as an outcast or somebody that's not welcomed into the discussion, they're going to be someone that someone's very distant to you as a family member. Well, again, I look at life as a business deal, and everything's got to be a win-win, and that win-win has to be not only for both companies, but also has to be for the employees as well. So, I don't look at employees as employees. I look at them as team members, which is I often refer to them, and often as family as well.
I like that. The team member distinction and really making them feel like they're a part of the solution. That was key. I really picked that up.
Yep.
Now, on your journey here, what really keeps you going? You've been at this for a while. Thousands of employees. You've 20 years, experience with entrepreneurship and building businesses. I'm wondering what's driving you.
I think it's the game. I think it's being able to be challenged on a consistent basis and finding a way to win the game. Not everything has been great success, and I had my first business when I was 9 years old, and, I was very successful. When I say very successful, I mean, I was 9 years old. So I can only be so successful, but I was able to accomplish something. And, if you're not grounded in trying to find a way to win, then success can often blind you. And I think if you stay humble, and you stay grounded and you truly understand what the game is, and the game is to win, right? I mean, I've never been the believer to say, listen, it's okay to lose. I want to be able to win. And if I win, that means not just Josh Verne's winning. It means everybody around me is winning. So I think that's what truly drives me. All three of my industries that I've been involved with have all been eclectic and have all been very different. I think the one differentiator is that I've gone into something to win as opposed to just doing something. And when you do that and you align your expectations with your own mind, as well as your family, as well as your team members around you, then the rest of it, to me, is gravy.
Yeah. You're in it to win. You're not playing just, let's hope for the best here. You're going to go in and give it your all here.
Absolutely. Yeah, we're not in it for sport. We're in it to make sure that we make an impact, and no matter what industry, no matter who we're dealing with, whether it's a mission perspective or a monetary perspective, we want to make sure that we're winning.
I don't think everyone's made that commitment, that firm commitment that they are going to commit to what they set out to do. They might be in it, but I mean, really making a commitment that you're going to win and that you're not playing. There's no option for losing here. We are going to commit and we are going to make this happen. And do you have any experience with that around you've been involved in, I'm sure, a lot of different entrepreneur groups and other entrepreneurs that you spend time with where they weren't fully committed, but they were just kind of doing it, going through the motions?
Yeah. I mean, listen, I've definitely seen that, and I've seen that. And, part of it is that people get involved with situations that they just don't want to be involved with. I come from a boxing family. I was a boxer when I was younger, and I would get my butt pummeled every time I went in there. And I quickly realized I was put in to be a boxer and I was not put in to succeed. So I stopped boxing, and I think people get involved with things because they feel they want to do it. And by the way, I don't fault anybody for it, but you have to truly be true to yourself and say, is this what I really want to do? I was in a family business for 17 years, and I loved it. I loved every moment of it. And I used to talk to a lot of other people that were in family businesses and they hated it. And my question to them always was, and of course it was always easier said than done, is why are you doing it? Why are you doing? Because and the easy answer is because it was a great situation that I can get involved with. I don't buy that. So yeah, listen, I through my peer groups and through different CEOs I've spoken to or different business I've been in, I think there's always both levels. And I don't think 99% of the time, I think 100% of the time, when someone's involved and is passionate about their business as they claim to be, and as you can see that they truly are, or in my example, as I am, those are usually the ones that succeed because they're the ones that are going to find a way to make it happen.
Yeah. What's the relationship between those people and yourself, the ones who make it happen, and their relationship with risk?
I don't know. I can't answer that. I think it's a good question. I will tell you that this is my third business, and my wife thinks I'm absolutely insane for for going back into this world of startup. I think you have to be wired that way. I like risk. I don't gamble outside of these walls. I take a very conservative approach, whether it's handling finances or whether it's going down to a casino by never going into that casino. I gamble nothing business. And I think that, you have to know that about yourself. You have to know truly where you're wired to be able to be. Because if you're always on edge and you're always looking over your shoulder, where that could be very fruitful for some people, I think it can also drive a lot of people backwards because you're not going to be your fullest self.
Yeah.
So I think it's knowing yourself, and I think it's being able to be wired in the way. And I can't answer you why in my example I'm wired this way. I can only tell you that it has to be inherent in you, and your surroundings I think is what brings it out. And I learned early on just about the value of hard work, and that's what I've always enjoyed. Yeah.
Do you think that if one is unable to take risk in his business or even in starting a business or a venture, that person would be stagnating in the business, or the business would not succeed?
No, I don't think so, because I think risk can be viewed as a couple different ways. I always use the example. I had a very successful salesman that worked for me. He was out of the house at 9:30 every morning. He was home at 4:00 in the afternoon every day. And I used to always break his stones. Why aren't you working? And he used to always say to me, I'm working smart. He says, I don't need to be on the edge or be risking things. I know how to be able to get the most out of my days. And here's a guy that was literally making over $1 million a year in sales. So, and that's a very successful sales guy. So I don't necessarily think that one has to do with the other. I do think that if you are into risk and that's the way you're wired, I think that can have a big advantage for you. But I don't think they go hand in hand. I don't think they're completely parallel.
What do you think is different about that guy who's doing $1 million in sales, working from 9 to 4:30? What's different about that guy versus the guy across from him at the table who's working 8 a.m. till 6 and not making $1 million?
I don't know. I think it's the way, again, you're wired. That person working 8 to 6 may say to themselves, you know what, this is what I need to do in order to be happy because this is the way I'm going to be fulfilled. And I hope I get some success out of it. This particular sales guy early on said, you know what, if I do it at my own pace and I do it the right way, I'm going to figure out how to be the most successful being what I'm doing. And I think that's what he's done. So I don't know. I think it's a good question. I'm not sure I could put my finger solely on it, but I just keep going back to everybody's wired completely different. Everybody. And I haven't met two people that are wired the same way. Even people that enjoy risk. Everybody's just completely different on what their level of risk is.
Is there something that this guy does where he's reading books, he's surrounding himself with the right people? There's things that guy is doing that allows him to get more results versus the other guy who maybe doesn't spend as much time on his training or his development personally?
Yeah, I think two things. Number one, this particular guy that I'm referring to asks a ton of questions.
Yeah.
A ton of questions, which I think is an awesome way to be, no matter how dumb the questions are. And I think the other thing that he does is he truly, he doesn't try to sell the product into his particular customers. He tries to become his customers. He tries to really become part of their solution. He's the guy that's going to, and I happen to be in the furniture business when this was happening. He happened to be the guy that would help the guy unload a truck instead of just trying to get the truck to be delivered to him. So he becomes part of the solution and part of the answers as opposed to just trying to figure out what the problems are.
Yeah, I like that. It's kind of like side-by-side selling. You guys are both going at this together versus this war going head-on-head in a sales call.
Yeah, exactly. Because you're telling this person, listen, I'm not in here just to try to make money from you. I'm in here to try to get you to make money as well.
Yeah. Yeah, I like that. Now, looking at You said 20 years in business. I'm sure there's been a lot of opportunities. Only 3 businesses here, which is plenty. Okay. How do you focus? You got all these opportunities, all these things online. You're probably thinking of ideas all the time. How do you focus on just the thing you're going to do, the project in front of you, and seeing it till its end?
I'm not sure I do. I say that jokingly. I mean, I think that's, to me, probably the biggest challenge. As an entrepreneur, especially somebody like myself, I'm always quick to try to jump on an opportunity. And I'm very close with a very successful business guy who sold his company for $2.5 billion. And he once told me, I asked him the same question because I often find myself in that situation. He basically said he just looks at his track record. When he stays focused on something and sees it through to completion, he's more successful than when he's gobbling up a lot of companies to try to make his one company bigger. So, I try to live by that advice, and I hear that. To me, it is a challenge, but if you ultimately focus on the things that are what's going to make the business successful, and I've had the experience of having some battle scars, right? I mean, I've had some issues and I've had some failures in life, and when those things happen, when you learn from them, that's the ultimate success, right? Is not being able to make that issue again, or not have that happen again. So I think, listen, it's a constant challenge every day because there's always great opportunities. But I think it's just surrounding yourself with that team. And, I've surrounded myself with just a tremendous, tremendous team that tries to keep me focused. And I say tries because they can't always, but.
So you're surrounding yourself with great people to help you accomplish your vision. It's not you accomplishing the vision solo. It's the whole team as one.
Yeah, I believe that. Listen, at the end of the day, it needs a leader, right? It needs the steerer of the ship, and it needs
a captain. Yeah.
Yeah, it totally needs the captain to be able to say, hey, listen, let's look out for that iceberg, or let's look out for that shallow water. But I think at the end of the day, it's everybody that makes it happen. And quite frankly, I was never always like this. I mean, there was a time in my life when I was first starting out, I said, you know what, if I'm not going to do it, nobody's going to do it. I'm just going to do everything myself. And those are the ways that you learn the hard lessons.
Yeah. So speaking of hard lessons, and earlier you talked about you've gone through some big failures. If you could take us back to a time in your life when you encountered a massive failure, like a crisis in your business or a major challenge on the journey, and how did you overcome that?
So I go back to my first real business, which was the furniture business. We had the 4th largest furniture manufacturer in the U.S. Family business, bought the business about 10 years prior to our exit. And, I've always said to myself, I'm a balance sheet. I'm a P&L guy. I'm not a balance sheet guy, meaning I'll drive top line and bottom line better than most, but I need a lot of cash around me to be able to make it happen. And one of the things that I never did was I never surrounded myself with a truly, truly good CFO or somebody that can really help me manage that part of the process. So I was always focused on the growth of the business. Well, the company had in 2010, had the most successful year it ever had, both top line and bottom line. But we just weren't geared up for a hiccup. And that hiccup, I won't get into too much details, but my partner at the time, we didn't have a good buy-sell agreement. And he was going through a little crisis in his life, and it kind of created a little shock into the business that needed us to kind of step backwards a little bit. And if we would have had the resources and the knowledge to say, you know what, let's forecast this particular time, then I think we could have been geared up for this little bit of a hiccup, but we didn't. We were growing it. We were growing very fast. We were all steam ahead. And I learned a lesson there. And that lesson was, you know what? Things can't just sustain itself on ether. There has to be able to be a good process. There has to be able to be good systems in place. And you need to really surround yourself with really good people. And the ultimate result of that business was we sold 2 divisions very, very successfully, but we liquidated a third, and because we couldn't come out with an agreement. And, we had a few thousand employees, and a lot of people were hurt in that situation. And I swore to myself, not only was I going to learn, but I was never going to allow that to happen again. And the way I guess I overcame it was I truly looked at myself and I said, forget the situation, forget my partner, forget whatever was happening in the industry. What did I do wrong? And when I looked at what I did wrong, I identified about 3 things, and I said, those are 3 things I can never let happen again. And that started my journey towards my next business, which ultimately ended up having a good success story. But it was taking a look at myself. It wasn't taking a look at my surroundings. It wasn't taking a look at the people that I said were with me or the people that, turned their back on me when this happened. I never let any of that kind of things affect me. I said to myself, what did I do wrong so I can fix it?
And how have you applied that in the present?
Number one, I listen. When I was younger, the guy that I used to box with told me, he said that you're born with 2 ears and 1 mouth, which means you should be listening a lot more than talking. So I think, listening is something that I do very strongly. I'm very flexible in my thinking today, where at one time I wasn't. And I seek the advice and the collaborative effort of the people around me, as opposed to just trying to make these decisions myself.
I'm learning a ton here from all this advice you're giving us here. And so you've been working, obviously you're building these businesses, and I'm curious. I always want to know, like, how do you balance work and life? What kind of habits have you put in place to work on both ends of the spectrum here, work and life?
Let me give you an example. I took a Saturday off one time to go play with my kids that are 12 and 10. And after I was done, they went back to my wife and they said, "I really like that guy. Can he come back and play again?" I'm not sure. I'm not sure that I do a very good job at balancing. I think my personal life is my hobby. And, I try. I'm not the kind of guy that's going to go golfing on a Saturday or a Sunday. And, any free time, I definitely try to spend it with my family and my girls. And I have two girls, as I said, 12 and 10. But, my wife and also my assistant, Bonnie, that's been with me for those 21 years I was telling you, they certainly find time to be able to carve it out for me. And, without my knowledge, because if it was up to me, I would just be working 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. But I'm so dependent on the two of them that they really collaborate together to figure out a way to be able to ear off time for me to be able to make sure that I am forming out some level of balance.
So you've got to be proactive about your schedule and be blocking off time so that you can allow it to happen. Otherwise, you're going to just keep going. You're going to run into like autopilot and start working on building your business on the weekends even.
Yep, absolutely.
So it's about scheduling the time, like making the time to have time with your family or other personal things that you want to do.
Yeah, exactly. And it's also, understanding what's important to my family. They know what's important to me and they totally respect that. So it's understanding what's important to them. I'm a dance dad. I'm not afraid to admit it. Both my girls competitive dance, and I've never missed a performance. I've never missed a recital. So to me, I know that that's very important to them. So therefore, I make sure that I comply because they're always complying with what I'm doing in life as well.
Okay. So understanding too, communicating with the people you care about, what's important to you, and so that I can, take care of that on my end so that I can be there.
Absolutely.
Okay, I got it. That's critical. And you started off with that. Who is that guy? Well, I'm like, wow. Yeah. Jesus.
Yeah, and of course I'm exaggerating there, but I mean, it's like anything else you learn in life. And, the people, I'm 39 years old. People once told me, you better be careful. Time's going to fly by. Well, it's certainly flying by. And, I got to make sure that I don't miss the little things. And to me, I will miss the little things if the people around me don't help me achieve that. So I think my wife and my assistant has done a tremendous job at doing that.
Got it. So if you can go on a trip anywhere with your family, where would you go?
Where would I go? I don't know. I think it's a great question. The moon?
Tell the audience where you're located now, or city, the city you're in.
Yes. I was born and raised in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania.
Uh-huh.
We live right in the outskirts, about 15 miles outside of Philadelphia, west of Philadelphia. And, I lived here my whole life. My great-great-grandfather was born and raised in Philly. So I'm a Philadelphian true and true.
Ah, I see. So now with that said, everyone kind of gets an idea what your life is like, kind of daily life. Where would you go?
Where would the trip be? Where would
this? Yeah, this is for some people. This is easy.
Yeah, this is oh man, I don't think I've ever been asked this.
It's like a trick question for you. Like, wait, what do you mean anywhere?
Yeah, I got to be honest with you. I'm not sure I would leave my house with my family. Where we live, especially right now, the weather's beautiful.
Yeah,
there's great restaurants around us. Our families around us. I'm not sure that I could pick a better place than just being at home with my family. And I know that might sound cliche, it might sound corny, but I truly believe that.
Yeah, Seth Godin has that quote that, hey, instead of thinking about when your next vacation is, why don't you build a life that you don't have to escape?
Yeah, totally. And
you're like, there you go.
Yeah, by the way, I like that. I'm gonna coin that. I'm gonna go tell my wife and kids that.
You should. I'll send you a poster. You can put it on the wall. Like, look at Seth Godin, New York Times bestselling author. I mean, come on. All right, great. This is fantastic. Let's dive into the knowledge round. I'm gonna ask you a few questions here to dive deeper and get some more nuggets of wisdom. So, Josh, are you ready for the knowledge round?
I'm ready.
All right. Have you ever felt like you weren't the strong, grounded man that you're capable of becoming? Like there's something more inside of you, but you don't know how to get it out. Me too. Years ago, I was broke, sleeping on my brother's couch, and just got out of a serious breakup that left me on the floor for months. Now, I have a multiple six-figure business. I'm in the best shape of my life, have an abundant dating life, and live on the beach here in San Diego. I want you to break through too and create the life that you want. And because people kept asking me so many questions, I've created this free video training series on becoming a strong, grounded man so that you can have more freedom, love, and connection in your life. I'll also teach you how to build real backbone to boost your masculinity as a man so that you can have more respect, power, and confidence personally and professionally. Simply go to kfmconfidence.com to get this training. Again, that's kfmconfidence.com. Also, I share the number one conversation that your father never had with you about women. That will be a major wake-up call for 90% of you and will improve the quality of your relationships forever. Go to kfmconfidence.com to get this free training today. Welcome to the Knowledge Round, where the guests will be asked rapid-fire questions to give the audience invaluable pieces of wisdom to help transform their lives. Starting in 3, 2, 1, showtime. First question here, Josh, is what advice would you give to someone who's feeling really lost about what kind of business they should get into?
Passion. What are you passionate about? And if you're passionate about helping people, find a way to get involved with helping people. If you're passionate about electronics, find a way to get into electronics. And I think the biggest thing over on top of that is ask a ton of questions. Because when you ask questions to people that you may or may not know, something's going to trigger that little thought in your brain that says, you know what, maybe I should be doing that.
Yeah, I like that. And what would you say to the guys who are thinking, okay, I know what I want to do here. I know my passion, but I just don't see a way that you could actually monetize this thing.
There's always a way to monetize something. Find it. Ask questions. Surround yourself with people that are now a lot more knowledgeable than you.
Yeah, there you go. I was hoping for that. And this is the Knowledge for Men show, predominantly a male audience. And so what would you say was holding you back from becoming the man you are now today?
What was holding me back?
Yes, if anything in your past, yeah.
Yeah, I think myself. I think, again, I learned that hard lesson. And, that was 16 years of my life that I built a great business and I had a great team around me. And by not truly understanding what my limitations are or even the things that I need to do is, you learn things the hard way sometimes. So I think it's myself. I mean, listen, I've recovered from it. I've made a lot of people, I've carried them along with me on the journey. So this way they had a place to go as well. But I think it's really just myself. I think if anything held me back, it would have definitely been myself.
Yeah. And what would you say are 3 of your most influential books that have helped you on your journey and why?
Definitely, though, I forget the name of the book. The Sam Walton book was very strong for me.
I think Made in America is
Made in America. Yes. Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, and I'm sure that's a lot of entrepreneurs' book that they've gone to. I think I would also say not so much a book. I mean, when you look at an underdog story, you look at the Rocky movie, and obviously I'm a little biased to it because of Philadelphia, but that also, that came out a year before I was born, and that also had an impact on me because not only was I a boxer when I was a kid, but also it was just a great situation to really see what an underdog is and how that underdog just continued to fight all odds to be able to come back and be who he is.
All right. Okay. So we'll put Rocky in there.
Yeah.
Why do you relate so much with the underdog? That was how you, I think, started off this whole thing.
When you're young and dumb and you think you can conquer the world, it's the ones that truly, really believe that about themselves that really try to and are successful conquering the world. Unfortunately, their odds are always against entrepreneurs, right? And the odds are always against people that don't go the normal path of what success is. I did not go to college. So I didn't have the traditional, I just about graduated high school. I mean, I graduated high school, but, growing up, education to me was secondary. And although that might be a bad thing to say, it was my reality. And I grew up a very comfortable life. My parents and my 2 sisters, but, there was always something in me that I never played sports. I never wanted to play sports except for my boxing when I was a kid, and I always got my butt pummeled. But to me, I always looked at myself as somebody that never went with the norm. And when you're someone that doesn't go with the norm and you do something different, there's always that chip on your shoulder that says, am I doing the right thing? Right. But even if I'm not doing the right thing, I am the underdog because all odds are going against me in a different way. And fortunately, I've been able to shatter that. But, I think that's why I've always viewed it. And by the way, that's why anybody that, whether it's I'm investing in or it's someone that comes to me with an idea that maybe they want some advice, I always look for that same type of situation. Are they the underdog? Are they somebody that's been told no? And do they really have something there that can shine and navigate through?
Yeah, really good. Really good. 60-second scenario here. If you had 30 seconds with your 25-year-old self, if you can envision what Josh is doing, 25-year-old Josh, personally, professionally, maybe in his relationships too, what would you tell him to do and what would you tell him not to do if you had 30 seconds?
Again, I go back to the same theme that I've been talking about is you don't know everything. I was the guy that, in the furniture business that always had the big desk and the big office and, was intimidating to come into my office. I function so much better today being out there with the team members and collaborating ideas instead of everything coming from me. So I think number one is you don't know everything. The one thing I would tell myself not to change, which everybody always told me to change, is when you believe in something, just run for it. Run for it the right way, though. Don't do it stupidly. Don't think you know everything. Go after what you believe in, but understand there's a lot smarter people around you out there. And it's free knowledge. It's free advice. It takes nothing to be able to ask a question. And what you'll realize is a lot of people that, although they might be intimidating to speak to, generally will take the time to be able to give you knowledge and be able to give you the answers that you're looking for.
Yeah, I like that.
So I think you don't know everything, Josh. Ask questions, understand what's around you, understand where you want to get to, but understand your path may not be the right way. There's a lot smarter people out there.
Yeah, I sense that, and that kind of humbleness towards listening to others who have those results. What role have mentors played in your life?
I think I've had a couple different mentors, whether it was my father in business, the way he created just an awesome environment for people to be able to work and want to come to work. I've kind of mirrored that. Whether it's, the Steve Jobs of the world, which I'm sure everybody, looks at and says, man, they're his idol, but where he was always very humble and he never let people truly bring him down when it was his way or the highway. And although he's not a very well-liked guy as a boss, as a visionary, and as someone that's a successful business guy, he understood where things had to get to. He may not have done it the right way, but he understood where it needed to get to and found a way to get there. So I think depending on the way you look at it, whether it's a work environment, which I could say to my father has done a tremendous job in instilling that with me, or my mother that really instilled real hard work at a young age. I told you I had my first business when I was 9, or Steve Jobs, a big celebrity figure like him, as far as how he didn't take no for an answer. He found a way to make things happen.
Yeah, I like that. Putting these together, is this some of your, what would you say is your philosophy for success?
Listen to the people around you, but understand what your voice is saying too, because your head is also another voice that's speaking to you, and you have to understand. Let yourself tell you where you want to get to, and have the other people around you help navigate that way to get you there.
Yeah, that's great. I think it's something we could all pay attention to more. And everyone, it's just a kind of a never-ending process that you have for the rest of your life.
Yep, absolutely. And listen, I'm still learning. I'm only 39 years old. This is my third business, and I'm still learning on a consistent basis. And that, to me, is what drives me. I love it. I love what I'm doing today. I never thought I could love anything more than the furniture business. My second business, I loved even more than that. Never thought I could love anything than my prior business. How much I love this business far outweighs that. So just keep reinventing and keep moving forward and keep staying challenged. And just keep having fun. We have one core value in this company. It's have fun. Because if you're not having fun, then things aren't getting done appropriately.
Yeah, really good. That's going to conclude the knowledge round there, Josh. That was really powerful, really good advice there. What would you say is exciting you today? What's really getting you out of bed in the morning now?
Besides my dog licking my face because I have a brand new dog.
What kind of dog?
You know what? We adopted it, so I really have no clue. It's got 6 different things in it. I'm not 100% sure.
Okay.
I think what we're building here at Flock U, we're trying to develop and we're trying to build the first vertically integrated publication. And I think that's what really drives me is, I'm working, the average age in our company is 23 years old. And to me, I'm learning so much, even though I have so much more knowledge than them from a street perspective or from a business perspective. I am learning so much on a daily basis on what makes this demographic tick, on what makes them succeed, on what makes them be viral, on what makes them create that herd mentality where they want to follow each other. And being able to put that together and building this great business, I think to me is really what gets me out of bed in the morning. I'm telling you, I'm more excited today than I've ever been.
That's so amazing. And I think that's where all of us want to feel, is where you wake up excited for the day. It's not this tedious thing, but you're really looking forward to the day. When Monday morning comes around, you're excited because that means you're going to put in 5 solid days, you're gonna have fun. It's you're looking forward to it. And I think that is such a hack, is to really wake up, enjoy the work you do, get paid for it, and enjoy spending time with the people at work. You know, they're fun people that you brought in.
Yeah, absolutely.
Awesome. And so thank you so much, Josh, for sharing your story, the knowledge, the advice. For all the listeners, you could follow Josh's latest venture here, Flock U, simply FLOCK, Flock U. So just Flock U, and that's the letter U, flocku.com for campus and college life, campus lifestyle. Really, really awesome content on the website for, you're talking about the demographics. It's a college demographic media channel here.
Yep. Yeah. We've taken this hyper-targeted approach of saying, you know, we want to be able to get into the marketplace of not just the millennials, but to be able to carve out this awesome demographic, which is about 17 to 20 million people out of the millennial demographic, and really just get involved with their conversations, see what they want, see what they like, and be able to give them a platform to be able to help out each other. And, you know, so far we launched in February. We're seeing substantial growth. We have a lot of brands that are coming to our platform right now to be able to market to them. And, you know, the biggest thing that we set out to do from a mission perspective is to be able to give a voice to college kids, to be able to help out other college kids, and let them know they're not alone. There's a lot of situations where, you know, whether they're doing something dumb for the first time or they gotten themselves into a jam up, let them know, listen, they're not alone. Everybody's getting into the same situation. So how do they deal with those things, whether it's provocative stuff or whether it's practical life skills? And that's the thesis, is to be able to have each other educate each other, because they're not going to listen to their parents. They're not going to listen to their educators, but they certainly will listen to their peers. And that's the thesis behind the business.
Got it. For all the listeners, Flock U, just put it in Google. The homepage comes right up, or simply go to flocku.com.
Yep.
FLOCK, letter U.com. Josh, thank you so much for coming on the show and sharing your story.
No, thank you so much. I really appreciate your time, and thank you for having me.
Thank you for listening to the Knowledge for Men podcast. Hundreds of interviews and millions of downloads later, we're continuing to build an international movement, and we're just getting started. So if you enjoyed this episode, go ahead and leave a helpful review in iTunes, because it really helps the podcast grow so we can impact even more men in the world who need this. Guys, this is all about living with purpose, where every day you only do things that matter to you. You wake up, live with purpose, and take massive action towards the life you want. And always remember, love the life you have while creating the life of your dreams. Go to kfmfree.com to get a surprise bonus I've made for my listeners. Again, that's kfmfree.com for something that's changed my life, and I'm offering it to you for free. Also, check out my Amazon best-selling books that I've written for you to help you crush life at kfmauthor.com. Again, that's kfmauthor.com to see all the books I've created to help you break through in life. This is your host, Andrew Farabee, founder of knowledgeformen.com, and I'll see you in the next episode.